Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's Sunday. Today, it's about future-proofing yourself. And we've got people from all over the world watching, including Jace in the South Pole. Unbelievable. Warms my heart to see where everybody's come from. Thank you to T&D Tesla, Sean Donnelly, K8, and everybody for being here. Today's story is, like it says, about future-proofing yourself. And I don't know why the thing keeps on hiding my screen. Anyhow, we will be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Pair trading, learning who you can listen to, Bitcoin, Microstrategy, tons of Microstrategy questions. I mean, it's nuts. Allocations, hot swapping, the new term, DeFi tech, QQQ, quantum computing, and so much more. It's going to be another big one. And then we'll do live questions at the end, which is my favorite part. But one thing that's really exciting to watch is we are now, the all-time high for Bitcoin is 103,800. Price is now above 103,300. That is only 0.48% away from breaking a new all-time high. Will we break 104,000 today? We shall see. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Let's get into it and jump through the story. And of course, this is not financial advice. And thank you to everybody on Patreon that help produce this show every single day. Appreciate each and every one of you. First question is from Live4Golf. Given the recent announcement regarding Google's Willow quantum computer chip, claiming it takes 5 minutes to solve a problem that would currently take the world's fastest supercomputer 10 septillion years to complete. That's a lot of zeros. I won't even try to count them. How much of a threat do you think quantum computing is to Bitcoin and other chains, and in what timescale? Thank you, Martello, as well. Thank you, Bert Frank. Thank you, Tesla Hoarder. We got a Tesla Hoarder here. And everybody as well. So this is a question that I get with great regularity for years and years. And rest assured, I keep a very close eye on the quantum computing risk for a long, long time. And I've answered this multiple times as well. But I'm going to go through it a little bit differently today and break it down. And, you know, like, I feel that every day, I've been doing this for nearly 4 years, every day for 4 years. And a huge part of what I have to do is fight FUD, okay? And it can be very tiresome sometimes. Sometimes I don't even bother. But anyway, let's get into this piece. First of all, Satoshi knew this was coming 15 years ago and was prepped. And he spoke about how SHA 256 is very strong. Unlike the incremental step from MD5 to SHA 1, it can last several decades unless there's some massive breakthrough attack. Okay, and he talks about all the other good stuff. And I won't get into detail there. Everybody's talking about this. The all-in pod's talking about this. The whole of Twitter's talking about this, etc. But as I always say, listen to the smart people. Listen to the people that have made it, not the people that are fearful and don't do their homework. So this is an old slide. This is with all of the quantum computing advancements in the past 15 years. How many qubits does it take to crack Bitcoin? The answer is about 10 million. Willow has about 105 qubits. So yes, it can crack other stuff, but not Bitcoin. Let me explain why. First of all, CTO says it very well. There's a little summary here. Quantum, the whole internet and our society breaks down before Bitcoin does. So think about that. The government and bank spaghetti code from 1962, easily broken. An open source GitHub repo attended by some of the smartest people on the planet? No. All right, so that's the key factoid there. Remember, if the day comes where Bitcoin is broken, everything else will be broken. We're talking Pentagon, CIA, missile weapon systems, every bank, every retirement, the IRS, you name it. Everything will be broken before Bitcoin is broken. So just bear that in mind. And if everything is broken before Bitcoin's broken, you don't even have to worry about Bitcoin or anything else, because the world will probably end. And that's just a fact of life. So why can't quantum computing break Bitcoin? This is a long-winded, detailed answer for those who want to get into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to summarize it real quick. It's two things. One, SHA 256 is used for mining, which is safe from quantum threats due to the vast number of operations needed to break it. And the ECDSA for signing transactions, which could be vulnerable to quantum computers, but requires more quantum power than current tech has. And I believe we're safe till 2028, 2030 at the earliest. And quantum computing has issues. quantum computers need many qubits connected via entanglement, and we don't have enough qubits at all to break ECDSA. And Bitcoin's protection, modern Bitcoin addresses hide public key, making it very hard for quantum computers to crack them when not in use. Remember, that's why you do cold storage. You hide your stuff away. And old Bitcoin risk, yeah, there could be a chance of some old coins that are exposed, but they can be future-proofed as well. We'll talk a lot about future-proofing yourself as well during this video today. And Bitcoin could easily update its code to resist quantum threats before they become actually real. That's the most important thing to know. And again, as CTO said, we got way bigger issues. And I do believe by the year 2028, maybe 2030, we'll have a new Y2K. For those who lived through Y2K, all computer systems needed to be updated just because of a small digit change in years, so that the year 2008 wouldn't look like the year, what would it be, 1908. It sounds so trivial, but that broke everything for a long time. And I do believe quantum computing everything by the year 2030 will be a big business. So a little pro tip here. If you are an IT consultant or know how to quantum proof stuff, you're going to make a crap ton of money when 2028, 2030 comes around. Anyway, just a little forecast in the future, because that's very important to do. But there's more as well. This is very important. Adam Back, friend of the channel. No, you can't increase entanglement qubits by wiring lots of 105 qubit chips. We are not remotely close to 1 million qubit computers this decade or likely the next either. So basically, Bitcoin won't be broken by quantum computers. Stop asking the question, and it won't happen, according to Adam, who knows, by the way. Adam Back is the legendary cryptographer and the inventor of the proof of work algorithm used in Bitcoin. So it goes back to saying basics. Listen to the people that know, not the fudsters. I live through FUD every day of my life. I'm getting so upset with the nonsense. I just end up just blocking them because they just... Anyway, that's quantum computing. A million questions. But it's good. I hope this put this to bed. And I don't have to answer another Bitcoin quantum computing question for at least another year. Fingers crossed. This needs to be turned into a clip, by the way. Next question. I look forward to seeing CTO tomorrow on DCA. This is P. Rico. Hi, James. Do you see any opportunities with pair trading at the moment? Tesla to MicroStrategy, or maybe Tesla for something else since it has run so much? Solana, maybe? Also, I've been stacking Bitcoin since 2020, but was very late into MicroStrategy. With the remaining part of the bull run, would you recommend swapping some Bitcoin into MicroStrategy? So this is, again, tons of questions coming up about this. This is a good question, an important question. I will share what I do and how I view things with a whole bunch of data. But this, like literally you could count hundreds of MicroStrategy questions this week. Hundreds. And it's been a huge week for MicroStrategy. And I'll explain why in a second. But this second question also kind of dovetails into the first. Hey, James from G Maestro. Big fan since you started and fellow animal lover. Love it. I have a mixed bag of S&P 500 ETFs. Bitcoin, Sol, Tesla, and Google. I DCA monthly towards ETFs, about 80% and 20% to Tesla, Google mixed. During this time with MicroStrategy taking off, would it be wise to start stacking MicroStrategy at $410? Or should I continue to DCA into Bitcoin and Sol rather than ETFs? I'm conservative by nature, but at the same time, I don't want to miss the fast runners. Thanks again for all you do. First of all, you're looking at somebody who's never touched an ETF for a mutual fund. I don't like a bag of garbage. I believe in going for the jugular, doing a lot of work, getting into high conviction assets with very, very, very heavy concentrations. And now I do it for sport because, yeah, it works. So I don't touch ETFs. We'll get back to what I would do as well regarding your question. And the third one, I thought this was interesting. Same question about Sol rotating, i.e. out of MicroStrategy or out of Bitcoin into Solana. What should we all do? So I'll try to answer these three together. And there's hundreds more, but no need to say them all. First of all, I've been talking about this for a while, and it did happen. I was 90% sure it would happen. The QQQ inclusion was a yes. I did price prediction targets and everything else, and I got into a very, very big position on Thursday morning, speculating on exactly this. That's how confident I was. People on Patreon know how big that position was, but it was a bold and risky move, And it's more than 8x'd in a very short window of time, in 2 days, actually, 2 trading days. And I believe it's going to go up a lot higher over the next week or more till the 23rd. Second thing that was also huge, Microstrategy. I made a little poll for giggles last night. And the question was, which will have the highest stock price by year end, 31st December 2024? And with nearly 5,000 votes, 76% said Microstrategy, not Tesla. And you know what? It's rare that the hive mind of the people that follow me on Twitter are correct. But today or yesterday, I think they are very correct, because I would say the same thing. Now that I say that, probably Tesla will go to $600. Who knows? We'll see. And Tesla's in the lead, by the way, now as well. So last check, MicroStrategy is 408, Tesla's about a 436. So Tesla's quite a bit ahead on this pair. And we'll get back to the pairs, but there's more good stuff too. This is also was shared yesterday, and I changed the graphics a little bit. And these are 3 items that are needed for Bitcoin to go to $1 million. 1, approval of spot Bitcoin and ETF, check. 2, traditional bank custody of Bitcoin, yes, check. We do that with a couple of new custodians that are out there in the marketplace. And 3, fair value accounting rules from FASB. That went into effect last night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time. We now have the 3 things that Saylor said we need to go to $1 million. That's huge, huge. And I believe because of this as well, well, that's a slight out of sequence thing. This should be next. Before we get to the bat signal, this is another one that FASB fair value accounting goes live. Bitcoin's value on corporate balance sheets now reflects market reality. Bitcoin is pumping, perhaps in anticipation of that, and I expect a surge next week, because now, for the first time ever, holding Bitcoin on a balance sheet is not like holding a baseball card, okay, that you got to post it at the lowest available price and all that crazy stuff. Now you can post it based on the actual value. You can mark it to the actual market value. So that means if Bitcoin goes up, a lot of companies that have a lot of Bitcoin will be able to add a lot of earnings to their quarterly earnings as well. And Saylor is also buying more. I believe he will buy more tomorrow morning because he flashed his typical buy signal. Now let's get into other things too. Solana versus Bitcoin. Before I answer the question with my plan, a lot of people are thinking, should they rotate from Solana to Bitcoin? Well, first of all, a lot of people are it's just, I got to zoom out for this. It's maddening. I think people have a brain that only goes back 1 week. Sorry if I offend anybody here, but literally crap coins pump and Solana's flat or down a little bit and people lose their minds. Over this entire bull run, okay, Bitcoin has been on a complete rampage, going up from $15,500 to $103,500 right now. But guess what beat it? Solana by 265%, okay? And it was as high as 400% more. So don't come to me and say, Solana's crap, is not doing anything. Just zoom out for crying out loud. Ugh. Anyway, classic gold season stuff. It's now Bitcoin's day. I just went through all the slides previously to highlight the importance of things like FASB accounting rules, etc., Saylor stacking, etc., yada, yada, yada. The hive mind flows where the action is. And there's no action here, but in yesterday's detailed video, you'll see there will be action. And I am as certain of that as I was when Solana was at $8 and everybody else had given up the ghost, and there's me dropping large amounts of coin at the thing. Okay? Remember, short-term markets are irrational. Long-term, they're a weighing machine. All right? This is the best risk reward, I believe, in the crypto world. Totally. Now, the other question is, should I pair trade? Should I swap some Bitcoin for Sol? Well, looking at this chart here, going back to 2024, yeah, this is in a range. Slightly ever higher lows. But on this pair here, not financial advice. If I had this stuff tax-free, I'd probably rotate out of Bitcoin into Sol for the next pump. But I would also probably wait for Bitcoin to do its thing because there's so much good stuff happening. And I'll get to that list as well in a couple of slides too. The list of good stuff happening to Bitcoin is bonkers. But anyway, back to those questions. It's a very long-winded answer, but these are hard questions. So I want you to try and get inside my little brain how I think. One, watching the MicroStrategy Tesla pair, I'm holding for now. As I said here, I do believe that still MicroStrategy will outperform Tesla by the end of the year. So I'm holding that pair. And I entered a monster MicroStrategy position last Thursday, and because I was 90% sure of QQQ Addition, so it is a speculation. And SOL will have its day. You got to wait. But I would not swap Bitcoin into MicroStrategy or into SOL. Always balance risk and reward. Get incremental positions on top of your bags, but don't swap your existing bags. And I'll talk more about allocations in a minute too, which is so important to this on how to future-proof yourself. Next question. Nico. Will you be shorting the next bear market or rotate into Tesla? Thanks. Again, another top question. So this all ties, like it's like every single question all feeds into each other. So look at this as one big bowl of questions that all link together. So if you asked me early 2023, my plan late 2022 was to go hard into very, very dangerous leverage positions on MicroStrategy because I didn't want to hold spot Bitcoin, because I didn't like the custody risk, etc. And that's just me. I'm a risk management conservative guy, whatever. That also takes crazy risks. So weird dichotomy. But in 2023, my plan was to sell heavily into the bull market. But then the Bitcoin ETFs happened. Then MicroStrategy happened. Then MicroStrategy just got out of the QQQ. And now sovereigns galore are happening all over the place. And then crazy crypto adoption is happening as well. So I don't think we'll get a traditional 4-year cycle anymore. I am beyond bullish. The action that MicroStrategy brings alone is enough to drive a supply crunch in Bitcoin. And then you layer on top of that what the 9 ETFs are doing. In fact, forget the 9 ETFs. Just talk about BlackRock, what they are doing, driving scarcity. Last night I was thinking, should I buy more Bitcoin or 100 grand? And I basically stopped at 42,000. I think I got one little piece at 60. That was it. That got my threshold. But then doing all this and reading about all the good stuff that's happening, I got so... And I try to control my emotions. I got FOMO even with Bitcoin about to break 100 grand last night. And here we are, 103. Let's check on the price of Bitcoin, actually, because I'm interested. 103,200. So it's just every time it does a little $200 dip, it gets bought up. Anyway, the plan is not defined. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I will watch all our models and indicators that we spent a fortune building to be prepared for that moment. If we see things having a blow off top and get very bubblicious, and other assets are at the right price, yes, rotation will happen. Otherwise, hedging because of taxes. And I am stuck in a high tax regime. So for me to flip something, as I covered last week in the Q&A, I need the price to come down an awful lot. So for example, if Bitcoin goes to 120K and I sell it and I pay taxes on my gains because my average cost basis is about $9,000, I get wrecked. I need to literally wait for Bitcoin to fall back down to like $60,000 to recoup my taxes. So I hope that makes sense for the people out there. Anyway, I don't know if we're going to get a traditional 4-year cycle. I'm definitely not going to get these 80% drawdowns anymore. There's too much money. The asset is too scarce, and it's such an exciting time to be alive. That's why I love Bitcoin. The hardness thing is happening at last. Great. Ken 2, supply crunch, whatever you want to call it. Thank you for your time and effort you put into your material. My pleasure. It is extremely helpful. There is a video on YouTube that MicroStrategy is a pyramid scheme in which the last bondholders effectively fund the upside for previous participants, yet this last group is left holding the bag unless there are future participants to fund them. Could you please comment on the math analysis of the Is Bitcoin a Pyramid Scheme? So you always hear me say this, get in early, get in hard. It's such an important thing in investing. And yes, if people are buying the last tranche of a convertible bond after MicroStrategy goes from like, I don't know, $9 or $10 to thousands. Yeah, they won't get as much bang for the buck, but no. And this goes back to what I said at the very beginning. I'm tired of dealing with all the FUD. It's just so frustrating. MicroStrategy is not a Ponzi. Let me explain why. Ponzi is a pyramid scheme. Same thing. Transparency. MicroStrategy is a publicly traded company that discloses its Bitcoin holdings and strategy openly. One of the things I admire about Saylor is he is an open book. When he says, I will never sell Bitcoin. He means he will never sell Bitcoin. You can take that to the bank. Actually, no, don't even bother taking it to the bank because I trust Saylor more than I would trust a bank. First of all. Second, unlike Ponzi schemes, Microstrategy has a legitimate software business. True. And third, a key mark of Ponzi's is a promise of returns. Microstrategy doesn't do that. The company doesn't promise guaranteed returns to investors. It's a hallmark of Ponzi schemes. In fact, they say you got to hold at least 3 to 4 years to be sure you make money. Because there could be, if you're buying and there is a big bear market, there could be a downturn. You might be out of pocket for a year or so. But as long as you look over time, like 3 to 4 years, you're going to be just fine. So, no. Displaying the FUD, no more time for that one. This is also very important. Shout out to the Bitcoin therapist who shared this morning. I actually retweeted it. There's the people who understand Bitcoin, a very, very, very small percentage of the population. As we say, Bitcoin is an IQ test. But then, this chart, the number of Bitcoiners who understand MicroStrategy is also very small. And I've been looking at them for a long time. And I basically said, well, if Bitcoin is an IQ test, then MicroStrategy is like a SpaceX interview for a job. There's my little joke, because it's very hard to get a job at SpaceX. Probably the hardest place to get a job on the whole planet. Now, excuse the pun of planet. That was by accident. And I remember me against the Maxis since 2020 fighting, explaining why well, obviously not explaining very well why MicroStrategy is different and special. And here we are. But now, for the first time ever, a lot of people get it, okay? So, Bitcoin is a leverage play, a call option in the future. And MicroStrategy is a leverage play on that call option in the future. So it's double leverage. That's how it works. Simple. Next question. From layer in, layer out. Similar to a question that was asked on 12.8, how would you scalp on Robinhood when they have a T+1 settlement? I use both pre- and post-tax accounts in Robinhood and need to wait at least 1 day for my funds to settle and be redeployed. Ah, interesting. And by the way, there's like 200 plus questions every single week. It's hard to get to all of them, of course. We can try to get to the ones that are most appropriate, especially from people who have never posted a question before as well. So first of all, this is important. Yes, you can. And with IRA, you need to have what's called a limited margin account at Robinhood. And you can use funds from stock and option sales before they officially settle, allowing for quicker settlement, reinvestment, or trading. And this feature contrasts with cash accounts, where you must wait for the settlement to complete before using the funds. So theoretically, I can sell $1 million worth of Tesla and within 20 seconds, use the funds that reflect immediately in my account to buy $1 million worth of MicroStrategy. Like that. Boom. Okay, so yes, you can do it. You need to have that capability. And sometimes there is a minimum amount. I don't know what the balance required is, but you definitely can do it. What you need to do to qualify to get this account, and I use this for what I call hot swapping or pair trading, have the Robinhood account open, apply for and get approved margin privileges, which involve certain financial criteria, like having a minimum account balance. I have no idea what that is. And understanding the risks associated with margin trading. You got to fill out a little form and sign, etc. And be aware as well, not all IRA assets might be eligible for margin trading. And there might be specific limitations or different rules compared to non-IRA margin accounts. So for example, if you're trading OTC stocks or something, that could be different. So yes, you can. And make sure you have that. And that's so important, because when you're pair trading things like these or hot swapping, you do not want to be out of the market for even a minute. Unless, of course, you think there's going to be a downtrend in the market. Then you can sell one asset, wait a couple of hours, and then move into the other asset on a dip. That's also fine too. Next question from Smokin' Joe. I own a good amount of Tesla already, and I would like to add one more EV stock to my portfolio. I'm confident EVs will only get better and become the new standard over time. Please, can you do a side-by-side analysis of Rivian and Xpeng, and can you tell me which has a better pathway to profitability, compare the risks and future potential? Many thanks. Well, this would be a very long, involved process, but I'm going to go through it really quick so I can show you how I do this in a flash. First of all, Xpeng. Let's look at this real quick. A couple of charts. The one on the left is revenue, net income, EBITDA. They lose money. Okay? And then what's alarming on the right is debt is growing, cash balance is falling, which means they're burning cash. So that's a little bit of a red flag. Revenue is growing, but technically it's at the same level it was in 2021. So that kind of sucks. Okay, you need growth and you need profitability, and you don't need a truckload of debt. So ding, 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 3 dings on that one. Rivian. Ooh, this is kind of nasty. Revenue. Yeah, they're growing, but from nothing. So it's easy to grow from nothing to something. But the net income and EBITDA's, they lose more money than they make in revenue. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this up. It's bonkers. Poop story. And then the debt, again, cash dwindling, debt rising. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Let's have a quick look, Sadoodle, at Tesla and see how that compares. Wow, revenue going through the moon. Net income also a bit of a flat year, got to say. 2023 was not the best year. 2024, but now they're coming out of that and they're heading into a new growth curve while still maintaining growth. But look at the cash balance, $30 billion. That's an Austin Powers moment. And a small amount of debt. So the cash is growing, debt is going down, That's the winner. But there's more. Let's look at why Tina, there is no alternative. Shout out to any Tinas in the audience. There's probably none. But if there is, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know if we have a Tina there. This is the Tesla Rivian chart. I didn't show the Tesla Xpeng chart because you get the message. By the way, what's bizarre about this, Tesla technically has been flat over the last 3 years. I picked that time frame on purpose, but despite the fact that Tesla was at 420, now it's at 436, call it flat since I took the beginning of this chart, Tesla has smoked Rivian by 1,242%. Rivian is a catastrophe, all right? Catastrophe. They're not going to make it. They make trucks. They had a small window of opportunity to own that market, probably the best electric truck, but then the thing called a Cybertruck came along, which is far, far, far superior. It's not even in the same league. It's like, a Russian master chess player playing tiddlywinks against a 1-year-old. Anyway, bad analogy, but there it is. Sometimes weird stuff comes out of our mouth. Be warned. Also, we're entering the rampage zone. You've seen this chart before. If you watch Cyberbulls this week, we are going into hypergrowth over the next 2 or 3 years, maybe even forever, with FSD, with energy, with Optimus. It's nothing but goodness going to rain down on this puppy. And one other chart, if you weren't already convinced, there is only one EV maker. This is the cash burning machines, and this is the cash generating machine. You see the difference? I have no idea what Workhorse is, by the way, but Xpeng is the better investment over Rivian. Rivian just burns cash like it's going out of fashion. I've just thought of a very interesting thing. What happens if the money they got from their IPO, they stuck it into Bitcoin? I wonder over the impact that would hedge their loss burning. That would be a really fascinating thing. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that later tonight while I'm bored, when I can't sleep. Xpeng has burned $2.4 billion over the last couple of years, or in the time frame. This is from AJ, by the way. It's a cool chart. It talks about year 1, year 2, year 3. Rivian's only 5 years in existence. Has burnt nearly $20 billion in cash. And there's no sign of slowing down. Yes, Tesla burned some cash too, but nowhere near this burn level. But once they turned it around and figured out how to build the machine that makes the machine, golden. So there is no second best, just like Michael Saylor would say about Bitcoin. And that's really EV makers. And forget EV. Tesla's not an EV maker. They build robots on wheels and robots on legs and energy storage facilities. So don't touch anything else. Financial advice right there. Next question from Jesse H. Best value for money I've spent on Patreon or anywhere. Thank you for being part of the family. Your information on MicroStrategy, Tesla, and SOL have helped me and my family so much. We are so thankful Very happy. What do you think of DeFi Technologies, ticker DEFTF? It's an OTC stock out of Canada. May have some upside now that they're profitable and have filed to be listed on the NASDAQ. I'm curious if you think there may be an increase in buyers if they do get listed. By the way, thanks to the SOL Strategies and Neptune information as well. Yeah, they were killers. Let's compare them actually, because the reason I got into Neptune was because of the SpaceX exposure and the fact that they got a Sol bag and a Bitcoin bag. It's like a perfect cocktail if I was making cocktails. And SOL Strategies because of their stacking of Solana and running of validators as well. But I tried to build an ARB model around this DeFi company, DeFi Technologies. I get confused, the DEFTF. And I tried to get current information. They have approximately 12,775 SOL, 204 Bitcoin, adds up to about $23 million with current prices. But the market cap is over 100 million, so they're 23%. You know, the premium on this doesn't work as an ARB play like it did with SOL Strategies, like it did with Neptune, like it did with all the other ones that we bought, which is interesting. And it acts more like a conglomerate. So when I dug into this company, I looked at it before and I was like, it's too confusing. But they do a couple of things. They not only have treasury holdings, but they're not really big enough to make a difference as far as I'm concerned. I want things to be at least 50% treasury holdings of their market cap. They also do something with a thing called Core DAO, but I had a hard time finding the price of that because it's weird. And they also do ETPs, which are exchange-traded products like ETFs in the US. But they have a subsidiary in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. Anything that happens over there sometimes can be a little bit, I don't know, weird. And they have venture investments. They invest in early-stage DeFi projects as well. And they do infrastructure. They run some nodes and other good stuff. So they do a whole hodgepodge of things. And I can't... When I have no visibility into what they're doing and what they have and what they're invested in, it's impossible for me to make a judgment. So therefore, I never touched it. Now, that being said, there is some good news. One, their numbers are very good. Yes, they did turn profitable. They made a ton of profit in the previous quarter, and then it slowed down a little bit. Their cash is to the moon. Their debt is paid off, so I like that. Why is the cash to the moon? Well, they're probably raising debt and they're also issuing shares. I calculate per our share dilution model that we built exactly for this. Dilution is about 39.73% over the last year or so. And there's a couple of severe distress signals. One, they've lost money in 58% of the time over the past 12 quarters. And you can see that here. The question is, what would happen in a bear market? That would be one concern. Yeah, they're probably making money now. I don't know what the accounting rules are in Canada, but the Altman Z-score of 1.51 is in the distress zone, implies bankruptcy possible in the next 2 years. That also gives me pause as well. And the chart is crazy, absolutely wild. This is DeFi Tech on the ATR model. Basically, they're back at prices they were at in the year 2021. A huge big zero, or a big U-shape, sorry, not a zero. But it is showing a sell signal on the ATR right now after a huge rampage. And again, my philosophy is do not chase, but replace. The time to buy this puppy was at 4 cents last year, 12 months ago, not at $4 now. So would I touch it? No. Because it's too difficult to understand, too complex, not transparent enough, too risky, too much dilution, too much bankruptcy risk. No. Remember, you got to balance risk and reward. You can YOLO into this if you want, but the odds are stacked against you, in my opinion. We'll see. That's the way I analyze stocks. Next question is from Mouse. I'm going away for 11 days around Christmas, New Year, and will have limited internet connection. I will not be able to manage my portfolio. I'm invested in Microstrategy, Tesla, miners, CleanSpark, IREN, Bitfarms, Solana, SOL Strategies, and some less volatile stocks. Tax-free account. Would you recommend me to prepare for my absence? Limit orders, reduce exposure, volatile stocks, or leave the portfolio as is? So, first of all, there should be no excuse for being away from the internet because you can buy a Starlink Mini and have internet anywhere on the planet. Yes, it'll cost you $100 a month or whatever, but it's worth it. I would not be able to be away from the markets for more than a 3-hour period, to be honest. And that includes during sleeping time. I get up regularly every few hours to watch the markets during the night. That's why I can't sleep very much. Now, I don't know the allocations of what you have, but you have some interesting things. Some things are kind of bottoming right now. You could argue Solana is close to bottoming. The miners are terrible shape, etc. But this is what I would do if you had a big cash position and you wanted to get into more things while you're away. Again, I wouldn't be away, but I'd set up limit orders using ATR levels. So if there is a wicked dip in the market, you'd be able to snack some things at good prices. You may want to reduce exposure to some very volatile assets in there, like some of the miners. You may want to adjust stop loss orders because you don't want to get wicked out. Okay, with some of these very, very volatile names, they go like this. And if you place a stop loss, you'll kind of come back from vacation and you're going to be out at a very low price. So be careful of that all the time. I like to watch the market, not just leave stop losses there in place. Also, review your asset allocation. Be in safer risk-reward items you want to hold long-term. Things like Tesla, yeah, let it ride. Things like Bitcoin, yeah, let it ride. Don't sweat that stuff at all. And consider the holiday season as well. This is a very volatile period because volumes are low and they can be manipulated by market makers. And if you are in any perps, get out. Do not hold a perp when you go away at all because you'll probably be liquidated anyway, especially with high margin because they're going to hunt you just like the market makers during the holidays. Remember, leverage means you are a target. You bring a target on your back to be hunted, so be careful with that too. DBF in Australia, thank you so much as well. So I hope that helps, but there's always internet, unless literally you're going to where Jace is with the penguins in Antarctica out in a glacier. They probably even have Starlink down there anyway, but I can't imagine. If there's food and water, there's going to be internet, I would say. Anyway. And rig up your phone as well to be able to do things like use wallets and trade. Make sure you have all the apps up to date and 2FA, etc. all working, or whatever security card you use to plug into your phone. Make sure that's all working too. If I had to do it, that's what I would do and how I would prepare. Hope that helps. Next question. This is from HJM. The first time you've posted, welcome to the family. James, my family, thanks for everything you do. Oh, so happy. I have some Tesla, Bitcoin, and a smaller allocation of SOL and Microstrategy. And I'm trying to figure out the optimal strategy moving forward. I'm not a whole coiner, and that opportunity is quickly slipping away as it gets out of reach. Bitcoin, as we speak, is $103,200. Is it better to sell some Tesla to get that whole coin now, or should I just keep adding each month? So this is a very important question. You know, I started the whole coiner stuff, nearly 4 years ago because back in 2017, I looked at the amount of Bitcoin, I looked at the human population, and I told everybody in 2017, literally people that didn't even know what Bitcoin was, if you got 2 kids, buy 2 Bitcoin. If you got 4 kids, buy 4 Bitcoin and just lock it away and just don't look at it because it'll be worth a lot of money in the future. And even if it's not, if it goes to 0, you lose 12 grand on 4 Bitcoin. Not a big deal. Nobody listened. Of course, nobody listened. But here we are. But the whole coinership stuck in my head from that time on, and I recommend to everybody make that an aspirational goal. But there's more important things. Allocations matter. This is rule number 7. I do this thing called rule de jour. We're up to 33, 34 rules now. But this is so important. And I share transparently at least once or twice a week my portfolio, my positions, the movements. Every move is fully transparent so you can see how I play this game and how allocations are important. Because the key with allocations, you got to balance that whole risk reward stuff, and see if people can zoom into this as well. But properly distributing investments across different assets and classes is absolutely critical. Don't overexpose yourself to one area, but also don't shy away from heavy commitment, heavy conviction, going for the jugular as well. Very, very important. Okay? So if you look at how, like I'm basically all in on 2 categories. It's all AI, it's all crypto. That's it. And most of it is based on options, based on equities, which are proxies of crypto. So I watch Bitcoin all the time because I'm very exposed to a proxy of Bitcoin. And I watch Tesla all the time because I'm very exposed to that as well. And all the other stuff is out there. So allocations matter. Don't try and reduce your Tesla bag to get to be a whole coiner. Look at the allocations I have. Think about that. And I feel very underweight in one particular asset, which I make no secret of. So what I would do, you're kind of on the right money here. Do not sell one item to buy another, okay? Focus on the allocations. Build to whole corner status using DCAS and rebalance when the time is right. Focus on risk reward. So, you know, a lot of people say if you go to $120,000 Bitcoin, $150,000 Bitcoin, I've upped my targets, by the way. I'm a lot more bullish now than ever before. Then wait for that drawdown. So technically, I do believe the new floor for Bitcoin is 70,000. That's possible to hit that again, maybe. But if we go to 150, it's not likely we'll hit 70,000 again. That's just a fact of life. But you can still DCA into it and get to that whole coin ownership, but do not jeopardize your Tesla bag. And I don't know what your allocations are, but that's how I roll. And by the way, during the, what we call the vicious Tesla bear market over the past 2 years, since late 2022, and everybody saw what I did nothing but stack hundreds of leaps on Tesla during that 2-year period when it fell to 106 and 120 and 150. I wasn't buying Bitcoin or anything like that, just Tesla. So there's a time and a place for everything. That's another rule, by the way. And when assets are cheaper than others, that's when you stack them. And then maybe you consider rotation like we'd covered earlier in the story. So that was 50 slides. Last question. And shout out to everybody as well. We sponsored a whole bunch of new babies. This is the Marine Mammal Center. And we got Mayhem and Inky and RH38. I wonder what RH38 stands for. Rena, Dangala, Shrub, and Snippet. Thank you all for that. And we have a couple more little seals. Us four tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, as usual. And CTO is moderating. And before we talk about some of the stuff we talk about here, I'm going to answer some live questions now with everybody. Thank you to the mods in the chat. That was how to future-proof yourself, which is so, so important in this day and age. Now, let me see where the questions are. Hope you all like seals, too. Well, there's a ton of seals, I think, down in Antarctica. Doc Intern. By March 2023, my 3 kids' education accounts had a CAGR of 5% in mutual funds. Cashed out, got Bitcoin, sold this April, put in custodial brokerage accounts of 70/30 MicroStrategy Tesla. Today, I've done a more than 10x of the March 2023. Thanks for introducing to MicroStrategy. Doc Intern, thank you so much. And thank you for having the courage to take the plunge. That means you have the IQ of somebody to go interview at SpaceX. Because it's hard, it's tricky to understand. Clark, if you were holding MicroStrategy option that expires 21st of March 2025, would you expect good momentum this week or January would be better? I hope for a good volume this week with a QQQ ad. So I don't know what your strike price is of that option, but I can say that you look like you're in pretty good shape to do fine just there. It's hard to say. It's very hard to say exactly where MicroStrategy will go. I picture it like this. So you have a lot of clever hedge funds that got into MicroStrategy positions because they felt like me. There was a 90% chance MicroStrategy would get added to the QQQ. So they bought big bags. They will be selling those bags on spikes. And then the TradFi normies will have to allocate not just the QQQ, but the amplified QQQ and also all the other funds that replicate the QQQ. So there's at least $600 billion times 0.5% have to buy. So 1.2 billion, 2 billion, somewhere about there will have to buy. But they'll be snacking slowly between now and the 23rd of December. So they have, as I said, 6 or 7, 8 trading days, maybe less with Christmas around. So that's just going to happen. After that, I think with all the treasuries and all the good stuff happening right now in the space, actually, let me check on a couple of quick wallets now that I'm on the subject. Haven't checked them today. See who else is stacking. Because there are sovereigns out there buying. Russia's probably buying. A lot of people are just stacking this thing. And even at 103,000, it's not stopping them as well. And the long-term holders, the majority of them are holding because they know the future is very bright. So I think you're going to be fine. I think we will run up to March. And then from there, we'll see. But we'll know more when we see exactly what happens in the near future. Moto89, thank you as well for being part of the family. Henry Linehan, thank you. Thank you too. And we have Donut Valley in Sweden. Tack, everybody in Sweden. Paul Poco, how high 100% MicroStrategy before swapped some Tesla? I'm not sure, Paul, exactly what that means, but how high do we go? Again, I look at the pair chart and relative value. And if imagine MicroStrategy goes back to 550 and imagine Tesla falls to 400, that's the time to swap for sure. Things like that I'll be watching, but we have to understand exactly what's happening with earnings and all the other good stuff. Charles Kincannon, heard of possible correction in the market in the next 4 months. Thoughts of possibility and whether this would affect when to take profits and possibly add to our bags in the short term. There's so much negativity out there. It's kind of insane. A lot of people can't understand what's happening. I do believe, the new administration is coming. That's going to remove regulation, and that's going to spur the markets. Look at the money coming in to tech stocks and U.S. stocks compared to other markets in the world. It's huge. Okay, and these are big allocators. They know the future is going to be bright under this new administration. So from that perspective, goodness. Rates will continue to come down. Goodness. More money, $7 trillion on the sidelines, will have to find a home in risk assets. And then we have the AI revolution, and we have the crypto revolution. So, 60% of the S&P 500 zombie companies, they're going to go to zero for the next 8 years. That's going to happen. So don't look at indexes or all that stuff. You got to look at the winning assets and just focus on those and what they're going to do, despite what market indexes do as well. That's why the winner takes most. Google has a 7% stake in SpaceX. True? I didn't hear that. I would make I'm out of Google. I was in it for a long time. Let me see if that is actually true. That is interesting. Yes, it is true. Yep. They got in actually very early too, so that's done very well. They got in 2015. So, wow. Yeah, good for Google. Because they're probably going to lose on their Waymo investment, so at least they make it up in SpaceX. So that works out. iSodal. Is Satoshi dumping a risk anymore with recent adoption? Is that no longer a risk? What could the impact of them or another comparable holder dumping, and how long would it take to recover? So if you look at the amount of Bitcoin bought by players like BlackRock could buy Satoshi's bag in a year. If Satoshi's wallet came alive, yes, the market would dip probably 10, 15%, pretty fast, and then recover. But I think Satoshi's bag is designed to be left back, and many believe, like myself, Satoshi's no longer with us, so not a risk. Quantum computing could be, but that's a decade away, like we covered. And thank you as well for your super sticker, AC1, Bert Frank, Tesla Hoarder, Martello45, Invested, Signal 103, Forrest M, AR Ron, Gareth Hayes, Andy, and DBF 430 in Australia. Appreciate you all. Let's check the prices before we go. Bitcoin's still over $103,000. So it's it's the weekends. I always say weekends are great. I said it on Friday. But then we have all this good news. FASB, QQQ, stacking, announcement of another buy on Monday, probably by Saylor. It's a perfect setup, as I've been saying. And 2024 has been a magnificent year. I just urge everybody to stay really healthy because the future's bright. Thanks all for coming. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Hope I didn't miss any other questions right there. Nope, that's it. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow morning, DCA early. Thank you as well, Sean Donnelly, T&D Tesla, and the whole gang. Love you all. Bye-bye.